first getting my teaching credential, my instructor told my class we would learn how to teach young kids in the order of what was most important. She asked us to guess what we, as teachers, would learn how to teach first. Most of us guessed language arts. Reading and writing must be the most important, we reasoned. A few of us guessed math, but none of us, straight out of college and full of hope, knew what the number one most important thing teachers had to master in order to teach our students. It was classroom management. So instead of learning how to teach kids to read, a group of young adults hoping to be teachers first learned how to get our students' attention. And more importantly, we learned how to keep their attention once we had it. Because, as our instructor insisted, even if we had the very best lesson covering the most important skill, it didn't matter. None of it would sink in, get absorbed, or even get heard if our students weren't paying attention to what we were teaching, doing, or saying. And after many years in the classroom and hundreds of students, my instructor was 100% spot on. So I spend the first month of every school year spending time explaining our classroom rules, our procedures, and my expectations of them. Because without strong classroom management, I would never be able to get my students to learn what they needed to learn, participate the way I needed them to, or go where I needed them to go without running amok. And through the years, I gathered some of the very best classroom management tips, both by trial and error, and from other incredible educators. So, I wanted to share with you my top 5 classroom management tips. Number 1, you get their attention. We can't teach our students anything if we first don't get their attention. We could yell, we could flicker the lights, we could just start talking and hope they listen. But we could also be the primary teachers we are and get their attention in cute ways that rhyme. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. 1, 2, eyes on you. You can pick up your favorite way to grab their attention and use that. Or you can introduce them all to your students and pick a new one each day to keep it interesting. Grab the PDF that has a list of fun ways to grab your kids' attention. Number 2, you keep their attention. Once we get their attention, well, that's great, but then we have to be able to keep their attention. One of my most favorite ways to keep kids' attention is to lean in and whisper. Our instincts are to get louder to get people to hear us. So this strategy might seem a little counterintuitive, but it really works like magic. Lean in and you whisper what you want to tell them. They will lean in and they'll really listen because they won't want to miss out on the secret, I promise. My other way to keep their attention is to ask them to give me 5. I remind my students when they're listening to me, to a classmate, or to a guest, their whole body should be listening. Our kids need to be reminded, and reminded often, to listen with their eyes by looking, listen with their ears by hearing, listen to their mouths by keeping it quiet, and listen with their brains by paying attention, and listen with their bodies by holding still. Even kids who need to fidget and move can still listen with their bodies by not disturbing their classmates. I always had a cute sign at the front of my classroom, down at their eye level, to remind them of what I expected of them. I've included the Give Me 5 poster in the PDF that you'll find below. Okay, so number 3 is positive reinforcement. Once we see our students doing what we've asked of them, we need to offer them positive reinforcement so they are encouraged to keep doing it. Not only will this student want to listen and want to do what is expected of them more often, it also works like magic to get other kids to listen. If you were to say loudly for Mike and Molly to hear, "Oh my goodness, Molly, you're working so hard right now," you better believe Mike is going to get to work. He wants your praise too. If your kids need an extra reward for staying on task, doing what you need them to do, or paying attention, you can use a positive behavior chart. All you need is the chart and a hole puncher. And every time you see a student on task, punch a hole for them. 20 holes can equal a trip to the prize box, a positive note home, or first turn to pick during choice time. And if you want other students to follow suit and get on task, make a big deal of punching the holes, and the other students will quickly model the students behaving well. I'll include the editable behavior charts in the PDF for you too. Number 4, minimize the interruptions. So your kids are all on the rug. Everyone's paying attention. The lesson you planned is going better than you'd hoped. The students are engaged. You ask a big follow-up question to check for understanding and your hands shoot up. You call on the student, hopeful they might be able to make an insightful addition. And then they say, "Can I go to the bathroom, please?" Oh. And then 4 more hands shoot up. Double. Ugh. The moment is lost. It's gone. Because you know what they're going to ask. All the mere suggestion of the B word. Now, everyone all of a sudden has to go to the potty, or get water, or get tissue. To minimize disruptions and keep the attention on your lesson, there's a trick I learned my first year teaching, so you know without any words what your students need. We use sign language, and to make this work, you assign the common request a hand signal or a letter from the ASL alphabet. And when they hold it up, you can nod yes or no, or ask them to wait without missing a beat from what you're discussing with the group. Here are the signs we used. For bathroom, we made the R sign for your classroom. You cross your fingers like you're hoping for something. For a drink of water, we made the sign W for water. What is spread 3 fingers apart like a W. They can hold it up or they can touch it to their lips, which is a sign language for water. For tissue, I let my kids get up whenever they needed one. Or you could encourage them to pinch their nose or make a sign for T, the thumb between your finger and your middle finger. And honestly, it doesn't matter what sign you choose, as long as it works for you and your students. And number 5, surprise them. Even with all the best classroom management tips, sometimes it just goes sideways. Our kids get extra nuts at specific times around the year, like Halloween. So your best bet then is to mix it up and surprise them. Add new prizes to the prize box and make it a big deal out of it. Who's going to be the first to get the brand new glitter pencils? Work towards a classroom prize of pajama day, or bring in a stuffed animal day, or bring a blanket and make your desk into a fort day. Or you can grab some colorful stools and offer alternative seating to kids who are on task and listening. I just bought stools for my daughter's kindergarten class, and they have become a big ticket item, coveted prize for the best listeners who are working oh so hard. My daughter's teacher goes around and offers up the stools to kids who are doing what she asked them to do. And sure enough, the kids around the stool sitter quickly get to work hoping they get the next stool. Because here's the deal. Our kids won't thrive in a classroom when they're not listening. They can't learn when they're not paying attention. And they won't be thinking about rhyming words or words that start with b when someone says the bathroom word. So if we want to really earn those number 1 teacher mugs we have a stack of, we have to get their attention and keep it first. And then we can move on to the business of actually helping them master new skills. like how to correctly hold their brand new glitter pencils, for example. Okay, so go grab the PDF of support materials so that you can start implementing these classroom management tips. The best time to start these are obviously at the beginning of the school year, but keep in mind, you can always pause and you can always start implementing these today because it will ensure a smoother, easier year for you and a more productive year for your students. Bye, y'all.